So it's time for some good news regarding Unreal Engine 5 and Xbox Series and PlayStation 5 performance. Let's look into this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm sure you heard about Lords of the Fallen. This is a new RPG game, Souls-like RPG game coming to current-gen consoles and PC this year. No cross-gen development anymore, so that's a good news. And also this game is using Unreal Engine 5, so that's another good news, of course, because this is going to be a proper current-gen game, right? Now, the good news is, and that's according to developers, this game will run at 60 frames per second on Xbox Series consoles and PlayStation 5. Of course, on PC, it all depends on your specs, but it's a good news because there's been quite a lot of concerns, I would say, that current-gen consoles may not hit 60 in Unreal Engine more demanding games. And Lords of the Fallen looks pretty demanding to me, or at least should I say, looks impressive graphically, right? It looks very, very good. So, you would think that such game would probably, run at 30. But looks like there's going to be at least an option, other graphics modes probably going to happen too, but that has not been confirmed. Now, this information is a courtesy of purexbox.com, and they basically talks about this particular tweet. Lord of the Fallen Twitter account, and I know it's not called Twitter anymore, X account. Sounds weird, right? To be honest with you, when I heard that Elon Musk actually changed the name to X, I was like, did Microsoft buy them or what? No, but yeah, of course they didn't. But it's kind of weird. I just can't get my head around it. Like I still didn't switch, if you know what I mean. But anyway, let's get back to that topic. So Ultimate Berserker did ask about the performance on consoles, and they did confirm that yes, it's 60 frames per second on Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5. So this is interesting because we talking about a game running on Unreal Engine 5 at 60 frames per second, even on Xbox Series S. So, the console that holds this generation back, sad, right? But yeah, it is what it is. Now, there's a couple of things we need to talk about when it comes to this game, because there's a number of things that are impressive indeed. So one is obviously the fact that it's using Unreal Engine 5, so it's probably using Nanite. I don't know whether they are using Lumen, so the new global illumination system, so that hasn't been confirmed. This is not the first game that came out running on Unreal Engine 5. There's Fortnite, which is actually a good example of a game well optimized for consoles. But just recently, Remnant 2, I think that's the name of the game. I hope I didn't really mix something up there. But anyway, I think it's Remnant 2, just came out recently. A very good game apparently, and looks really good too. But the problem is that it's not really running that great, even on PC. So that may basically suggest that the game is not really well optimized, and I don't know the developer behind that game, but apparently they are rather small, and the small team that made that game I'm talking about here, right? So maybe they just haven't had enough resources to optimize this game better for consoles and PC, because on PC it's quite demanding too. And even in one of the, I think, reviews, or maybe even one of the ads, they say that this is a game created with upscaling techniques in mind, right? So basically, if you don't use FSR or DLSS, one of these, or Intel's one, then you're not really going to get a good experience, which is sad, really, because we should not be relying on these anyway, especially if we've got a decent PC. But even on PC, that game, Remnant, it's actually not that well optimized. On consoles, it has performance mode. It's running at 60 frames per second, but at some point it goes down to like 35 frames per second. So the performance is not great. So a lot of people started speculating that maybe these consoles are not actually capable of or not powerful enough to run these games, a proper next-gen games in 60 frames per second. But now we've got Lords of the Fallen, which looks better, and also it's using a very cool technique where they will be rendering like two different worlds. Do you remember Medium, that game from Polish studio that Bloomberg? No, I forgot the name of the studio. Doesn't matter. So they made a game where they would render like same location, but in a like totally different scenario, right? So the whole thing would just look totally different. So you basically have to render two different worlds at the same time. So Lords of the Fallen is kind of doing the same, but with better graphics, and they've got this. I think they are using Lumen. I think they did advertise the use of Lumen. So if they are confirming that this game is running at 60 frames per second on Xbox Series S, X, and PlayStation 5, that means that it must be pretty well optimized. Now the question is, what's the resolution is going to be like? But you know what? It's probably going to be upscaled from 1080p to some, a higher resolution. That's what these games usually do. By the way, Unreal Engine 5 has a very good upscaler, so I wouldn't be surprised if they use that. So, it's probably going to be dynamic 1080p on Series S and dynamic 1440p on X and PlayStation 5. But that's just me speculating on that, right? As soon as we learn more, I'll let you know. And also, I kind of did check the specs for that game on PC. Oh, by the way, this game is coming on October 13th this year. So yeah, you can pre-order. So it's available on PC too. But I did check minimum specs and recommended specs, and it actually doesn't really look that bad. So for the minimum specs, and by the way, with that minimum specs, you get 720p low quality settings, right? They don't talk about performance like frame rate, so I would imagine 60 frames per second. And direct version 11, so they probably not using ray tracing on. They don't require ray tracing, otherwise DirectX 12 would be required. Graphics, 6 gigabytes of VRAM, NVIDIA GTX 1060. That card is like 5 years old. No joke. So memory 12 gigabytes. Okay, so they need more memory. And yeah, Zen Plus GPU, really, Intel. So the minimum specs are not really that demanding, but hey, that's for 720p low quality settings. For 1080p high quality settings, first off, SSD is required to stream all these assets. By the way, they do support HDD, so hard drive on these low spec machines. So there we go. It's not required, but yeah, for better graphics, you do really need that because you need to stream these better textures faster, I guess. And DirectX 12, and Radeon 6700 or NVIDIA RTX 2080. So we're talking about close to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X specs here. And that's for 1080p high quality settings. So, Xbox, consoles versus PC specs, these are not apples to apples comparisons really, but you can kind of guess what you're going to be getting in that game on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Probably, like I said, 1080p high quality settings, which will be probably upscaled to 4K or 1440p or whatever, right? With that upscaler. So, but like I said, I'm just speculating based on the recommended settings for PC, right? And these specs sometimes sometimes differ, so that's kind of a normal thing. So, the main takeaway from this news is that it's good to see that a game like that, and Lords of the Fallen is actually a pretty looking game. It looks really, really good. Like, look at these screenshots, and graphics is pretty nice, and so I would say that, guys, next generation is finally coming. About time, right? 3 years after the launch of the consoles, but like, this generation has been really odd in terms of like console shortages, COVID affecting and delaying games, affecting game development and delaying games, and it's just crazy. But that's why we are getting like these proper next gen games so late, because it's just it's crazy. But anyway, guys, look at these graphics. It looks really good. I don't know, for some reason I'm getting Elden Ring kind of vibe from it, but it's not open world, I don't think. Or maybe it is, I don't know. But yeah, either way, Unreal Engine 5 game looking very good, rendering 2 different worlds at the same time, so that must be demanding. So if they will achieve 1080p upscale to like 1440p on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and if that will be stable 60 or close, then I will be a happy bunny, because it may be one of the first games to kind of tell us more about what's going to be coming when it comes to games performance this generation, and whether or not we will need PlayStation 5 Pro and Xbox Series X Pro, really, right? Because if these games will be able to keep up 60 frames in most games, then yeah, I think we'll be good. If not, then we will need these Pro consoles. Also, I haven't really seen any news about this game, but unfortunately that game got delayed, so I think it's called Immortals. So there's this game which is actually Unreal Engine 5 game 2, and it's coming. Yeah, it was supposed to launch in August, but I think it got delayed, but I will have to double check. But actually, you know what? Immortals. Let me actually check now. Immortals. No, that's not it. Anyway, I'm not going to be wasting your time now, but that game is Unreal Engine 5 game too, so I wonder if it's going to be 60. It's a FPS shooter with magic and everything, so I would imagine so. It would be good to have that game running at 60, but I don't think it has been confirmed, but we'll see. But anyway, guys, so that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Very good news regarding current gen consoles performance in Unreal Engine 5. This is super important because there's going to be a lot of developers moving to Unreal Engine 5 and using this particular game engine. So yeah, it's pretty crucial that Epic figures out a way to make these games run at 60 on their engine, right? So guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.